Welcome to the Pod. I'm here with Renee Carleson, mom, owner, and coach of the nonprofit Special Needs Sprouts.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm great, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, thank you for coming on. I'm super excited to hop in and talk about your connection with autism and what inspired you to be the Jill of all trades and be going to be an author and coach and owner. So tell us what is your connection with autism?
So in our family, my daughter is diagnosed with autism, and that is kind of rare. Boys are four more times more likely to be diagnosed with autism. So autism in girls is one of those unique traits, and it's because we crave connections. We want to be social creatures, and so we will mask our feelings and hide that part. But when autism affects girls, it affects them deeply. And so I am here to give my daughter a voice and help other people see her the way I see her. My husband was also diagnosed with autism. He has high functioning autism, which means it doesn't affect his life to a daily extent, and he is able to mask most of his symptoms during the day, and then he is able to make it through quite easily through his day, but he does have those issues that affect him greatly. With that being said, I wrote a story called A Bee Like Me, and my daughter's name is Abby. And it's about her day and a day in the life of a bee like me. And at the end, as I'm putting her to sleep, I'm letting her know that it's okay to be exactly who she is because God doesn't make mistakes and he has a perfect plan for her. And what all the wonderful things I see as she goes through her day.
Oh, I love that. Wow. So you wrote A Bee Like Me, and you were telling me before we started this that you actually also shared how you have that connection with autism as well.
So through the course of our journey, we have noticed that I have a lot of similarities in the symptoms and the issues that both my husband and my daughter struggle with. My family chose not to go with the diagnosis because they felt that the label would cause us more harm than good. I choose to go with a label because I want to have my children be able to access all of the resources out there in the community so that they can grow and flourish and that they can continue to gain the skills that they need to survive in the world today.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense because there's so many beautiful resources. I mean, share about your resource because you are an owner and coach of your own nonprofit.
So our resources that we have are definitely based towards safety. One of the biggest issues that we had with our daughter was that she would bolt when we weren't expecting it. She would elope because she was scared. She didn't know what was going on, and she didn't have control of her body. A lot of our kiddos on the spectrum deal with fight, flight, or flee. Their amygdala is overactive. And so if we can calm their bodies, we're going to have a better chance of calming them and being able to help them make better decisions. One of the things that we dealt with the most was when we would get out of the car, she would run into traffic. And it was always very scary for us to take her out and traveling. And so I created this magnet that goes on the car, and it's a safety stop. And what it is she has learned to put her hand on the safety stop, and it goes on the gas tank area. It is magnetic. And she waits for me to come and pick her up so that it's safe for us to go out into traffic together. And so we do that through a token economy where every time she did it, she got a reward. And so then it became a habit for her. A lot of our kids also wander. And so they may not even know that they have decided to wander off and that they are lost until it's too late and they are lost and stuck. And so we have these key tags that attach to book bags, to their shoes, to their purse, whatever they have. And it just lets others know that they may be lost and that they have autism and that they may have other issues going on. On the back, It gives the contact information of who they need to call if they are found. Some of the other things we have available are these sensory overload cards, which explains if a child is having a meltdown, what is going on, how you can help, and what needs to happen. If my son was out traveling, he also has special needs, and he were to meet somebody and he would get upset, he's able to pull this out, give it to the people, that the first responders, and they're able to see what he's dealing with and what's going on. And then again, it has what they should be expecting and then the resources of who to call. So these are very handy for us out in the community, and it gives people just another understanding of what is going on and that how to help in that situation. For at home, we have nonverbal redirects, which are just amazing because you don't want to get into a confrontation with your child if you can avoid it. This is something I will give to my children if they're misbehaving. And it's just a simple reminder, hey, don't like what you're doing. Can you change it? And then on the back, it says, please stop what you're doing and make a better choice. So once they've decided to make that better choice and they are back on track, I can take this away. And it is a nonverbal prompt from us to say, hey, make a better decision and move on with life. We know our kiddos are having a lot of trouble wearing their masks these days, especially in the pandemic. And I do know that it is proper that they wear their mask. But this button allows families to just say, hey, my child is trying to wear the mask. We are having some difficulties. Just give us some space. It's not going to get us out of wearing masks. I'm sorry. That's not something I'm able to do. But it is giving awareness to the fact that this child may have more trouble. We also have these mask clips that you can attach to your clothes so the child doesn't lose its mask. Because I can't tell you how many times we've lost my daughter's mask and would have to go back to the car. And that's upsetting for both me and my child. So if I can keep her mask on her, I have a better chance of keeping it on her face. So those are just a few of the resources that we have available. We also have a community resource, and it's called our Beehive, and it's a group on Facebook, and we meet weekly, and it's called the Weekly Buzz at Wednesday nights at 8:30. And we come in and we have a great time getting to know you. We ask about your highs, your lows, self-care, and then we play some games to get to know you better.
Wow. That's so cool. Like all of those resources are so helpful. And I think like coming from my perspective, like it's nice to see that it explains, what this is what I need. Because I know sometimes with autism, there's the nonverbal where they can't be like, hey, this is what's going on.
Yes, they're unable to express their needs at that moment because they're overwhelmed with the emotions that they are dealing with, whether they be good or bad. My daughter deals with excess emotions, whether it be happy, sad, mad, or glad. We just deal with excess emotions and how it's going to reflect in her body. So she does a lot of stimming, which is how she interacts with the world. She wants to touch and taste and feel the world. That's how she does best. And so giving her sensory toys and giving her outlets for that allows her to calm her body in a productive manner.
I love that. And I like that you have, a couple of things. I love that you've used the bee with her name. That was really cute how that worked out. And then just like having the group for other moms and dads and kids to come in and be a support system, but also play games and learn from each other. That's such a cool thing that you created. I love it. And you said that was called Our Beehive?
Our Beehive, yes. It's a community group on Facebook. And I will give you the resources that we can add to this. And if you'll just go ahead and join the group, then we'll give you the information of the Zoom to join for the weekly meetings.
Oh, perfect. So tell me, with autism, what are the misconceptions that you've found?
One of the biggest misconceptions is all autistic children act the same. And, a lot of us have that picture of Rain Man, unfortunately, in our heads when we hear the word autism. And that is so much farther from the truth than you can go. Each child is unique. Each of their personalities are unique, just like a neurotypical family. Some of them really dig the movie lines, and some of them, my daughter is very artistic. She will color for hours in a detailed coloring book, and she did this at a very young age. My daughter also loves puzzles, and she was able to do a 1,000-piece puzzle at the age of 7. And she doesn't even look at the picture. She just figures it out. We've done her puzzles backwards, forwards, inside out, and she always figures out how to put them together. So we keep her busy and keep her mind occupied that way. For some of our others, it's anything. Legos are always a big draw for our kiddos. Trains, how things spin, how things operate. My husband's very analytical, and I'm very creative. There are times when I'm working on my books, and most of my books are rhyming books because I want that message and that repetitive pattern. I want the message to sink in. So there are days that I will speak in rhymes all day long, and by the time my husband is done with me, he's like, okay, Renee, we got to give it a break. So, you'll get into those repetitive patterns.
That's very interesting to me, because I do agree that I've heard so many times people say, like with the spectrum, people think that it's just a straight across line. But when I was researching and learning more and more about it, it's actually like a pie chart, and it's kind of different little pie pieces.
Yes.
And what were some of the signs and symptoms that you saw, kiddos?
For my daughter, she wouldn't look at us. She didn't want to be held. She didn't want to be touched. She hated it being cuddled. And I mean, that's what you want with your baby. You want to cuddle them, and you want to hold them tight, and you want to look deeply into their eyes, and you want to share those moments. And we didn't have that at all. The other thing was that she was slow to speak. So she didn't start speaking until she was like 4 or 5. And so everyone else's kids were babbling. Everything else was kind of going right. And my child just wouldn't speak. We couldn't get a word out of her. Now we can't hush her up, but that's a whole nother story. But things like that. And then her particular interest in certain objects, where it would just stay on those objects. She was very fixated on different things. And then the key that everything wasn't going right was she was starting to do self-harm, where she was doing a repetitive behavior until it caused harm. And that's what really got us online. With my son also having special needs, not autism specifically, other issues, we kind of knew the drill, and we knew that we needed to look into getting her tested early. And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was, if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, let's treat it like a duck until we know what else to do. And with that in mind, we started early intervention at home as much as we could. We really got onto the ground. We played with her. We did as much as we could to bring her back into our lives, and found what her interests were and let her drive the bus.
I think that's beautiful that you guys built that world around her, because that's what it sounds like she needed. And what I've noticed is I don't like using the word awareness with it, because there is the awareness that people need, but not in the awareness that you need to take it out of them. It's like the acceptance, like loving them for who they are. And with that, what advice would you give parents, and even with you having autism, what would you give with this?
My biggest piece of advice is acceptance. Families want to be accepted. And when we are given this diagnosis, it feels like your whole world kind of closes in. And we already know that we're different. We already feel the difference. We already know that our child isn't reacting the same way as little Joey down the street. We've already been kind of figuring that out all along the way. All we want is compassion. We want to be included. We want to be treated just like everybody else. And oftentimes we are not. I don't want to have them over. They may do this, they may do that. And just give us that chance and that opportunity. If you ask that mama, hey, can you come to the birthday party? There may be some dietary issues. The mama already knows that there's dietary issues, and we already have planned a way to make our kids feel included, whether that we buy our own cupcakes and bring it, or we bring our own ice cream and bring it and let the kids still enjoy the party. Or is it, do you have a quiet place that my child can go and decompress and then come back out? So asking those parents, and to be honest, that's the hardest part about this as a parent, is feeling that your child is not invited to all of those special events that every other child gets access to. And our worlds become lonely and closed, and we start coming and hiding within ourselves, and we don't have that community. So really, my biggest prayer and wish for any family on the autism spectrum is that they find the acceptance and they find the community, and that their friends don't push them away, but actually pull them in and give them even more love and support. A lot of our friends come over just one-on-one instead of me going out to big groups. I still get to do a lot of fun things. It's just in a different way. And then when we do go to events, we go for a shorter period of time.
Wow, that's really heartbreaking, because you don't think of that they would be pushed away and not invited, but that's true. It would happen because people are just like it's so heartbreaking that people are like that, because I just think there's so much beauty in everybody that is different. Like, so what if they're different? It's just us needing to be more open-minded, and learning and understanding. So that breaks my heart so bad that happens. But just, I'm so sorry about that.
I think it's just a reality. Most people want to find the commonalities. And when our families with autism, you'll see a lot more of the differences than the commonalities, because you have to dig a little bit deeper to find what we have in common. And it's because our behaviors just stick out a little bit more obviously than most.
Yeah. But what I do love is what you built for, families, is like this community and these resources and the books. And it sounds like you have more books coming, or...
I do. I'm in the process of writing my son's story, and I'm having such a great time doing it. He's older. He's actually a senior this year, and it's just so amazing to kind of look back through his journey of where he started and where he's come from, and all of the trials that he's faced and how far he's come through all of them. And just to see the great young man that he's become. Now, does he have a lot of struggles and trials? Yes. Is his life going to be easy? No. But we know that he's overcome so much already, and that he will continue to do so. So his future looks very bright.
Oh, and congratulations to him on his senior year. That's awesome.
I know. It's so cool. He actually has the chance. Our church is having a prom, and so he gets to go to prom, and, he's getting all of he's getting his announcements. And so we get to experience it in a different way. And it's just been a really unique adventure for us.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. I did want to ask, before we go, what was it like when the pandemic first happened? How did that change your world when it hit, and we had to be alone?
Wow. That's always a hard question, but I'm glad you're asking it. It rocked our world. And the reason is we don't have a lot of community already. And that community was stripped away from us even more. So our social visits, our support, our services, we still have not seen Abby's doctor face to face. since we started the pandemic. We've only had phone calls. We still have not gone on campus for church. So for that's really difficult. So they're missing that community that they had set up. Our kids are expecting a routine, and their routine is no longer there. Everything changed. My daughter was used to going out for social outings so that she could learn how to socialize well. Well, all of that stopped. And they don't understand. It is so hard for them to understand the differences, where a neurotypical kid would go, okay, I get it. It's hard. And, they would be crushed. But for our kids, not only are they crushed, but they're devastated, and they can't get over it as quickly. And so it's a constant reminder of the differences. And the other thing is us mamas, we don't get that downtime. Now, I know every mama is feeling that, but our kiddos are at a heightened sense of awareness that our mamas deal with stress that is equivalent to that of a combat vet, because we are always on the lookout for what is going to cause our child to melt down. We are always 100% invested in what's going on. So we never have that moment to just be at peace. And when you have done that for so many months, we're at 13 or 15 months of this, that is a lot for any person to take on. And especially being hyper vigilant for a child that doesn't sleep, that doesn't eat, that doesn't follow the regular rules and regulations, and needs so much extra support.
Wow. That really did rock your world. Wow. I mean, I know with routine, I know that's so important, especially in the autism community, because that's like something that it's like that habit that you were talking about. It becomes a habit. And then when you take it away, like you were saying, for us that could say, okay, well, it changed. But change is not like you're saying, that change just doesn't work like that. You can't just be like, okay, and that, to me, it's like just having to explain it, and then having to like rework the whole world again for your family.
Yes.
So
it is definitely a challenge. It's so difficult to keep them engaged, to keep them going strong, to try and have them on school, on Zoom, where they don't have that interaction, that they don't get to see other kids mimic their behavior. My daughter is a parrot, so she wants to emulate everything she sees, but to do that through a screen is so difficult. She can't see all of the verbal and the nonverbal cues that she is used to picking up to follow. And to stay attentive to a blank screen where there's not that physical presence of someone saying, hey, you need to stay on task. Because she needs a lot of touch and redirection. She needs that hands-on ability to be refocused and put back on. And it is so difficult for these kiddos doing Zooms all day. And then their brains just turn to mush because they're not getting that activity that they need to stimulate their bodies to keep them on track and focused.
Yeah. You guys are so strong for taking all of that, and just building this world to, accompany her and to hopefully help. But that's that's a struggle. It seems, wow.
The struggle is real. It is definitely real. And what I really want to say, and what I hope that people will hear, is families with special needs kids are just looking for some compassion and community. They just want to be accepted for who they are. They just want you to spend time with them. They just want to be heard. And that is a lot of what is missing, because a lot of people want to give us space and distance themselves because they don't understand what's going on. And it is absolutely one of the worst things that you can do, because you are missing out on a great family, and you are missing out on the opportunity to meet some amazing kiddos.
Absolutely. And like we were talking before we started recording, I don't necessarily have anybody in my immediate family that has autism, but I know people that do, and it always gave me just wanting to know and learn. And that's what this pre-pod, I'm hoping that helps for that acceptance awareness, is that, this is what autism is, like, learn about it. There's nothing wrong with that. And just saying, hey, I'm ignorant to this topic. Tell me more about it. And you have so many resources that you've built and created that I know are not just for those families, but for the people that are like, hey, what is this? And how can I be a part of this group? So I definitely want to join our beehive.
Well, unfortunately, you wouldn't be allowed because it is for the autism families. We want that safe place to land. Yeah. We want that place for our families to feel loved and accepted for whatever. And I got to tell you, our normal days don't look like your normal days. Our normal days are, like I said, definitely heightened and a lot more crazy than most. We deal with, like I said, food, sleep, and emotional outbursts that there are just no words to explain unless you're living it day by day.
Yeah. And that's understandable completely. So no worries on that. But for those parents that, do have that connection, where can they find you with all these resources? And
so if I can direct anyone to go and I find the information that we have been talking about today, it's www.asensorybee.com. And that is where you'll find the book. That'll be where you'll find the resources. And then it'll have the link to our community, our beehive.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for joining me and just shedding light on this beautiful topic. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate your groups. I still think it's the coolest thing. So even if I buy a book, I'm going to have some form of connection.
We really appreciate that. Every book that is purchased definitely goes towards the nonprofit so that we can offer these resources to everyone.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so I definitely will. If that's the contribution I can do, then that's what I'll do.
Awesome. Thank you. We appreciate it. And thank you for this time to come and speak to a subject that is so near and dear to my heart.
Yes. So with this, I chose Dr. Seuss because I know that Dr. Seuss is very well, a lot of his quotes are used in the autism community. So what better time to use them? Normally this is where we do the affirmations, but we're going to do Dr. Seuss quotes today. If you resonate with the numbers between 1 and 3, that quote will be yours. So for those of you that chose number 1, your quote is, "Why fit in when you were born to stand out?" which is our favorite. And then number 2, if you chose 2, "You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way." And then for those of you that resonated with number 3, you chose, "Today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive that is youer than you." And with that, you are loved, you are worthy, you are cherished, and I am proud of you. Until next time on the Pre-Pod. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.